All right.
Yes, we are.
So I'm going to take you through kind of just three technologies. I know that an agenda has been set to kind of go through the air, car, rail, lodging booking process, which I'll show you. But before I do that, I just wanted to take a few minutes and kind of walk through what you see here is our portal. So the portal is basically the one-stop shop or one-stop shop basically for everything as it relates to the travel program for users, administrators, etc. So you'll notice here that the focus of today will be showing CTM's proprietary booking tool, Lightning. But please know that we as CTM are booking tool agnostic. So we work with multiple booking tools. So know that that is something that we have in play. And we also integrate with multiple expense solutions. So we're a big partner with Concur, both travel and on the expense side, with Chrome River, owned by Emburse. And then we also have feeds into Workday Expense as well. So know that there are different components outside of what I'll be showing you today. So as we look at the portal, just a few things to note here. Right here, you see these various carousels. These are where you can actually have anything pretty static that you want to get some messaging across to your user base. So it could be anything about hotel programs, per diems, anything that you think needs to kind of stand out for your travelers. This is a good space and good real estate to kind of have that highlighted. And just a few things to point out. I'm not going to talk about everything here, but you see kind of a welcome NASPO, travel and travel arrangers, contact information, after hours. And then down below is where each user can essentially set up their own real estate or what's important to them. So based on the number of widgets that you see here, this is where users can determine what's important to them. So we have, in this example, upcoming flights is top of mind for my widget, but it may not be necessarily as important. I can just take that and drag that down, and you notice it will dynamically update my screen. So you can enable any of these widgets, drag them up to the top or down below to kind of customize your view. So just a few things I want to hit on before I move into some of the booking components is the ability to kind of track travelers. So for those of you that may be travel arrangers or you have a heavy travel arranger population within each of your environments, this is a great tool for users to kind of see where their travelers are, where they're en route. You know, we know there's been a tremendous amount of disruptions this past year. So this is a great way to kind of see where travelers are, as well as to get any information as to what's going on either in that particular country and or down to the state level, as you can see here with the US. We have different impacts that are considered a level 2, not a significant traveler impact, but you can just see some of the things that are going on in the US based on the scrolling feed here. So that's just one of the options. As we go through and look at some of the other components here, that's especially helpful for travelers. You'll see an area for invoices and unused tickets as I scroll down here. So this is very helpful for travelers to go and self-serve. If they need a copy of their invoice for their expense report, they would not have to call us. They can search by a number of ways, first name, last name, if it's a travel arranger, search by dates, and then you can see within each invoice, you can just simply click on it and see what's contained. And then you can also download it to a PDF file if you'd like. Unused tickets, so any unused tickets that are sitting out there under a traveler's name would be listed here. And again, the user can click on to see specifically the value of that and then the expiration date. So a couple areas just I wanted to point out to you that kind of helps from a traveler perspective, travel requirements if they're traveling outside their home country, outside the US to another country, they want to know what some of the requirements are, things like that. So that is the portal. Before I move on, though, there is one other area down the bottom right here where CTM has introduced our chatbot called Scout. So this allows you to do some pretty easy tasks relatively simply just by selecting one of the options here. So you see cancel a booking is one of those. So just by selecting cancel a booking, it will pull up your information and you're able to cancel it without speaking to an agent or going into the online booking tool. There's also an option not seen here in the demo environment that you can chat with an agent. We're not going to send you through a series of AI questions. We're just going to ask you in 25 words or less, tell us what you need assistance with, and then it will be forwarded on to an agent. So that's some of the significant things that we have that are available in the portal as well. So at this point, I'm going to jump into Lightning, which is CTM's proprietary booking tool. And as I mentioned, we are booking tool agnostic, meaning we do work with other booking tools like Concur Travel, GetThere, Dean, etc. So as I click on Lightning, it's going to single sign on into that tool, which you'll see here. And just a couple things as we go through here. You'll notice that Lightning has a more consumer look and feel, and that's specifically why we designed it, to kind of take on that leisure feel where they're going out to some of the consumer sites and bring some of the corporate government / elements into that environment. So makes the shopping and booking process feel a lot more like some of the consumer sites and some modern retailing. So there are different ways that we can actually pepper in various notes. So if there was just some high-level travel policy information you wanted to put in here, you could do that. Just like Amazon or other modern retailing sites, you notice that we have recent searches, so you can go back if you've already done the research and then actually make the booking there. You'll see that flight hotel is automatically pre-populated. For purposes of our demo here, I'm going to incorporate air, lodging, and car, and then I'll go back and do rail that you have asked. So just by clicking on these options, I'm going to add a traveler. So as I add my traveler here, one of the unique things with Lightning is we're able to book up to 9 individuals at a time, and that includes guest travelers. So if you have contractors, etc., you can book up to 9 people at a time, including guest travelers. And you can also determine whether or not you want to have it all on one record or have it separated on separate records. So that's a huge advantage when you're moving multiple people from the same area, from the same city to a particular city. So for purposes of today's demo, we're going to go from Denver to Washington. I am looking at live inventory, so I'll ask for September 2nd. We'll come back on the 4th. And then I can do some advanced searching. So let's say I'm going to the Federal Building where I want hotels near the Federal Building in Washington, D.C. So I can start typing that information out, and then it's going to pre-populate. You see the William Jefferson Clinton Building right there. Hotels within, let's say, 2 miles. And then I'm going to click on search. And at this point, Lightning is going out to our content hub. So, one of the things you would ask for is, as it relates to competitive fares, we are pulling in content from various sources. So we are supporting NDC, which just quickly while we're waiting for results is a new distribution capability. So American Airlines and United Airlines have this alternate distribution channel that Lightning is able to consume that data and present it to your travelers. So as we look at the results here, you're going to see here's another example of a welcome message. You can have some pretty strict messaging here. So you may say, when traveling from Denver to DC, United Airlines is the primary carrier. You can have that message displayed. So before I talk to the flights, just a few things I'm going to incorporate per your request for some of the filtering capabilities. Some of our newest capabilities just came out in a sprint 2 weeks ago. We have sprints every 2 weeks. So that allows us to pivot very easily to things that are happening in the industry. So as we listen to customer feedback and then industry events, we then are able to incorporate those into our user experience. So one of those that we heard from our clients is the ability to exclude certain components in a search. So you see here, we can search by stops, we can search by airlines, so we can include, and we just, as I mentioned, have the ability to exclude airlines. You can look at cabin class, by policy, in policy, Fly America policy. So you see different sorts there. The aircraft type, this is something that there was a request from multiple travelers. So if you want to exclude a certain type of aircraft, you have the ability to do so. And then you see the flexibility, refundable or non-refundable. So various filtering capabilities available to the user. So the flight results that you see here, they're basically sorted, and you'll see anything that has NDC is listed with the NDC tag, but we have most instances where our customers actually disable that tag because it only generates more questions to the actual travel folks. So we leave it on in our demo site to show that we are pulling this content in, which is separate from some of the traditional channels. So that being said, as you look at the fares, you can see the percentage of on time, the fastest trip. You can filter and sort by various ways as well. If I want to very quickly see what the cheapest fare is, I could click on cheapest fares. And then if I want to see all the fares that are offered, I can just expand that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select this United flight out at 9:40 a.m. So again, going back to the consumer experience, consumer looking experience, as I make that selection, it starts to populate a shopping cart. So those of you who have been shopping online, you know how shopping carts work. So my outbound flight is now up there, and here are my list of returns. I'm going to take this United at 12 noon. Notice that that's now in the shopping cart. And if I wanted to then remove this outbound flight, select another, I can just hit that delete button. That flight would be gone, and then I'd have my other outbound flights to choose from. It does not have to reinitiate a search. It's just going to go back and actually give me the other flights to choose from. To select seats, I can just select seats here. Lightning does shop with the traveler's frequent flyer number, so if they are status with that airline and eligible for some of those seats that are typically held aside for paid seats, that they will be able to book those based on their status. We also have the ability, which is unique in Lightning, that if you want to enable pay for seats, that could be something that you could enable and only restrict to a personal card, which I know is typically not in your travel policies. So as you look at some of the rates, some of the seats here, the further back I go, it's a little cheaper. I can actually add that and say, I want to go ahead and do this and just limit it to a personal card. This is optional, not a requirement, but just something that you should know that's a bit of a differentiator with some of the other tools. You can also see if a colleague's on the flight. This is something that can be disabled as well. You will not know who they are, but you will see with this icon where they're sitting on the plane and determine whether or not you want to snuggle up next to them or look at a completely different flight. And that again is also something that you can toggle on or off. So once you select your seats, which I'm not going to do in the interest of time, you click done. And now it's actually coming back with our hotel search results. And this is the first time in Lightning where we incorporate and we bring in AI and machine learning, both in the car, hotel, shop and book process and in the hotel, both car and hotel shopping and booking process. So essentially what that means is it's pulling information, hotel content from a number of sources, but it's also going to come up with recommended properties based on my preferences. So as a user, based on previous searches, previous stays, and then also any corporate preferreds or state preferred rates that you all have, you'll notice that per diems are incorporated, is also part of the hotel display as well. So there's a number of things going on behind the scenes. And if you recall, I asked for hotels near the federal building in DC. So it's also searching for hotels around that parameter and bringing back the results. Typically, it's not this slow. It's probably my afternoon internet connection. So we should have our results in just a minute. While we're waiting for that, one thing I do want to notice back on that air, when I'm shopping for air, we have partnered with a company called RDC Aviation. So sustainability, carbon emissions, all that is married up against a third party where the CO2 emissions for your flights are going to be based on some pretty specifics. So that would include the aircraft type, the age of the aircraft, the engine, age of engine, and where you're sitting on the plane. So just wanted to point that out since I didn't have an opportunity to earlier. So as you can see here, we have our hotel results. Notice here, here's another example of messaging. So you can see per diem rates, a little message here. And then you asked about filtering and sorting. There are a number of ways that you can do it here. First of all, these top 3 hotels up here are what has been displayed to me based on AI and machine learning. So just by mousing over this little info icon, it's going to basically reiterate what I said. So these are based on previous stays, previous searches, and obviously what policies are applied from a corporate or government level. You notice that the per diems are included here. So you can see the rate of, in this case, the model by Hilton is 116. The per diem is 261. If I select this and see all rooms and rates, one of the things that's really nice with Lightning is you're able to say, okay, here's the per diem, here's the rate. So you are $145 below per diem if you were to book this hotel, okay? So that's one of the things that as it pulls in the per diem information, you're also going to kind of know where you stand as it relates to either above or below. So at that point, we can add the room, but before I do that, I want to show you just quickly how you can do some additional sorting and filtering. So with the rates, you can sort by various rates. So you notice that we have government, we can pull in booking.com and military rates as well. And then right beside that is different ways that you can look at your views. So we're looking at kind of a list view. If you're more of a tile person, you can click on the tile. Or if you're more of a visual person and want to see a map, and this map would be based on, okay, here is the federal building, and then here are the hotels associated with it, and you can actually go from there. And then the filtering and sorting, things I want to point out as well. You can have slider bars for price, star ratings, hotel brands, and various amenities. So those are different ways that you can actually do some sorting as well. And in the interest of time here, I'm just going to go ahead and select this Model by Hilton at 116. Once I do that, notice that that is now populated in my shopping cart. And so I now have my air and hotel components. I click on continue, and then I will have my car results. So car, again, like hotel, will incorporates AI and machine learning, and obviously any of your policy preferred car vendors would be at the top. There'll also be a number of search capabilities where you can search by or filter by various components like class or car class, chain, price, transmission, fuel type. And then you can also sort by different options as well. So carbon footprint, if that's a priority, you can sort there as well. So you can see kind of here's the top picks again for me based on AI and machine learning, and then kind of all others. Anything that's preferred will be indicated with the heart, just like with air and hotel suppliers. So I'm going to go ahead and add this car and click on continue. And now my car is booked. So essentially the three main components of my itinerary are booked. And those are really the areas I want to cover based on your agenda: airfare reservations and booking, lodging, and car. I do want to show you quickly rail and then also black car. But from here, this is where any information we're pulling from the profile would be listed. I just need to select a form of payment. I'll click done here. Any information we may ask for reporting fields, we could ask additional questions here. I could remove this and make changes from here as well, select my seat. So lots of other options here at this page, but I'm just going to simply say I want to go ahead and put this booking on hold. I'm going to acknowledge terms and conditions, and my booking is being confirmed. So when I put it on hold, it's basically being held until the last possible date of ticket. So it would need to be confirmed prior to whatever the last date of ticketing is. So that's essentially how you book air, car, and hotel. We'll just wait for this to finish up, and then we'll look at Amtrak reservation, and then also show you black car service. And black car service or limo booking is going to be based on traveler profile type. So not necessarily open to your general population of travelers, but really only those that are authorized or would be eligible to take black car services. Again, my internet seems to be just a little slow today. Trust me, I was doing a dry run before our call, and it seemed to be working just fine, but I think it's that afternoon slowdown. All right, so I'm going to go back to new booking. So here's my trip that's been saved. So go to new booking, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use one of my recent searches. So if, this was the search I did as I was prepping for this call for train service. So this is from New York to DC Union Station. So after doing the initial research, but not quite committed to making the booking, this is where I can now just click on that as a recent search. And it's going to go through and present my options. You see it's finding the trains. So here's my outbound trains. Obviously, anything with economy is regular Amtrak service. Those of you familiar with Amtrak in the Northeast Corridor. Acela service is business class. There is no economy. So we can call any of these out of policy. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this train on the outbound. Then on the return, I will select this one at 2:05 p.m. Again, populates my shopping cart. Click on continue. I think I had a hotel here. I should have actually skipped hotels. So this would actually go and search for hotels. And then I'm going to take it right through and then add black car. So that booking a car, I'm sorry, rail service is pretty simple. A similar user interface to the air shopping and booking experience as well. All right. All right. And while we are waiting for the hotel search results, let's see.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So I'm looking, so I can keep my eye on it for you, Warren.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I'm managing it too, Mary Ellen. That's fine.
No question. All right, good group. So just to explain why we're waiting here too, I mentioned that we have an agile development cycle. So every 2 weeks we have new sprints, and as we have new releases, anything that's going to impact the user experience. I don't know if you recall the little bell that was up there, but there's a bell at the top. So anytime there's a number on that bell, that basically is an indication that there's been some new enhancements or functionality. So it makes it really easy for the end users to kind of know what's new in Lightning. And there are some times where we'll actually bring in videos to kind of walk them through things. So as an example, when we were looking for, oops, sorry.
So Warren, while you're there as well, there was a question that was asked, where do you obtain your per diem rates from? And it came from Tammy Peatman.
Oh, it's punching out to the government site where the per diems are loaded. Oops.
And yeah, I can take that as well. So
Right.
it will actually jump right out to the GSA site. So if you click on where it says the per diem is whatever the per diem is, it's going to take you right to the GSA page too. And then
Right,
they
here's
get
what I want
updated
to-
every October.
Thank you, Lynn.
Of course.
Okay, and here's the rail service, and then just wanted to show you here's where Black Car is because I'm authorized as a user to book Black Car service. So here it is. I'm looking at a sedan, number of passengers. Where do I want to pick up? And that could be from the train station. You can start typing in.
So Warren, there's another thing while you're doing that. Can you show how duty of care works and what the benefits are of duty of care, where it fits into what you presented here?
Okay, I can. Let me just show you this quickly so you can see the Black Car service. Oops, just put a pickup time here. Say 2:30 p.m. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, okay, well, you can see here, oh, didn't find any Black Car service, but this is actually through Brownspan, that for those that are familiar. So this is where it would basically be pre-populated, and you would have a list of different options. So those of you familiar with Black Car, it'd be the likes of Empire, and Carry Limousine, and some of the others that are part of that. All right, so I want to go back and address Luther. That was pretty much what I wanted to cover on Lightning. I think I covered all the points. And Luther, your question was then on duty of care, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from a duty of care perspective, I just jump back to the portal, and this is where you can see the traveler tracker and geo risk. So this is part of our duty of care. So when you want to look at risk alerts around the world, you see here that you can actually look and see where travelers are, and then also incorporate risk alerts. And as I zoom out, you're going to see basically different colors. The different colors that you see are based on the severity of the alert over here. So we all know what's kind of going on in the Middle East. So there is an extreme alert, and if you click on any of these countries, like Iran as an example, you're going to see it's extremely high risk. And then you can download a full country report. If any of you travelers are traveling to a country outside their home country, in your case, the US, a country report will automatically be pushed to them, but it would contain everything they need to know about that country, from holidays, political unrest, women traveling safely or traveling alone, ground transportation situations and issues, and anything you need to know about that country is in that country report. And then again, you can see kind of what are some of the examples that are happening here. We see the war as two of the indicators. There's travel disruptions, and then there's also additional. So you can really go down and see what's going on. It is kind of real time as the information comes in. We partner with Riskline, who provides our security as it relates to the country status, and they work with a number of departments behind the scene, one of them being Department of State, to pull what's going on and the risk levels within the countries. So I'm hoping that addressed the question. Luther or Mary Ellen, if somebody, whoever asked that question, if there's more detail that they'd like to know, or
Yeah, I think you covered it. Thank you very much.
yeah, and then just one other last point on that. If a traveler is traveling somewhere where there is a significant or some sort of traveler impact, even in the US, so if you're flying to where there's a hurricane-prone area, there will also be an automated push of an email to that user letting them know that they're traveling to an area that is impacted, in this case, it's a weather event or whatever it may be. So there's also some proactive communications via email if they're traveling to an area that's that there may be some traveler impacts, which is typically a level 3, 4, 5, moderate, high, or extreme. Okay, and then I was going to go into reporting quickly, unless there's other questions that you all.
There is one more.
Okay.
Is there assistance to travelers if they are in an urgent situation, medical, civil unrest? And this is from Kristen Allen.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that's from a duty of care perspective.
I would assume yes.
Okay. So things like medical evacuations and some of the higher end security services are typically where they're procured through a third party. And we have a number of parties like ISOS that we work with that are primary partners that can do some of those higher level types of, excavations or evacuations of people out of a particular country, and then medical evacuations. Those are not typically what's part of the core that we have here.
So you did answer her question, yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. If there are no other questions, I am going to just kind of quickly show you our reporting platform called Data Hub. So this is where you're able to look and have multiple reports either set up, during implementation. We would work with you, and we have a pretty extensive library of canned reports that we have here. Actually, it's not showing up here. So the canned reports are basically a library of reports that we can set up from a scheduling perspective that can be pushed automatically. And then we also have dashboards. I think here, let me just refresh. I'm going to log into another site here, so bear with me. This is a little bit of a hiccup here, so again, going back to the reports here, we have our standard library that basically is going to cover the majority of the reports that are required in your program. And then as you look at various reports, you have the ability to favorite them. So if there are some that you've actually gone through and looked at, you decide that that's something you want to see or highlight on a regular basis, just simply click on the star and then that is highlighted. So there's a number of ways as you look at the different reports, you can search as well. So if I search for exec, like an exec summary, I can click on that and then it'll bring me to that. And just what I want to point out here are there are different ways that you can actually filter information. So, by different cost centers, budgets, depending upon how you filter your information, it's not just a static overview of your whole program. You have the ability to kind of drill down and take it to certain levels if you wanted to do so. The dashboards, which is really kind of the highlight of the reporting, is essentially starts off on the landing page with a program summary. So that's going to give you an overall picture of your spend to date for air, car, hotel, rail, as you can see here while it's populating, and then your percentage of online, offline. So just a few things as we wait for this to populate. Like the scheduled reports, you have the ability to filter over here with any of these dashboards. So there are a number of tabs here on the bottom. And then you can see here by clicking on filter, if, depending on how we're collecting your data, you can see that there's different ways. If it's contractors versus employees, you have all sorts of ways that you can filter that information. Travel well-being, this is one of the tabs. If that's an area of interest, kind of highlights those travelers that are traveling on weekends, evenings, how many nights away are they, just kind of something that to help keep you aware of what's going on from a traveler well-being perspective. Traveler routes basically are going to be your city pairs and then the breakdown by airline. And I know we're waiting, as I said, I think my internet's a little slow here, but basically what you'll see is your top city pairs, and then you can click on any of those city pairs and see what the makeup of spend is with certain carriers. So in this case, if we look at, I'll look at this as a global environment. So let me just change this to kind of United States. So you'll see our city pairs change. So if we look here, Los Angeles to New York, our second highest city pair as it relates to a spend perspective. I can click on that and then it will automatically update all the other areas to see here are the 4 carriers that make up that spend in the LA, New York environment. So you can see, there are opportunities to move it to a different carrier, things like that. You can actually drill down even more if you wanted to and see specifically the travelers and the data that makes up that particular segment. So you can export it in a number of ways as well. PDF, CSV, PowerPoint, number of ways that you can do that. Carbon emissions is just another area. If you are interested in that type of reporting, we also have a couple of climate action packs that CTM is partnered with, and at any time you can click on those and see what those are. Your top travelers, booking, air, car, hotels. So that's just kind of a very high level overview on the reporting that I wanted to point out as well within our given time frame. So Luther or Lynn, if there's nothing else, I guess I'll hand it back over to you unless there's something else you want me to point out.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing that. Lynn, if you want to share the presentation, we can quickly go through that and then open it up for any questions that they may have.
I will get that right back up. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. So just to review, this is our team, just the introductions. We have Mary Ellen Hess, who's our executive vice president, Carol Hall, who's the senior vice president, and then Warren, who also is executive director. And then the actual key components for the NASPO are myself and Lynn, who will be working specifically with the NASPO individuals on the contracts and as well as implementation on our side. I'm going to pass it over to Mary Ellen and she'll talk to the next couple slides.
Okay, great. Thank you, Luther. Well, what you saw there hopefully was a fresh look at, travel reservations process. Tanya laid out quite a bit there for us to cover in a short period of time. So we're happy to meet with you individually. And I know Luther's going to be following up to do that. But just really quickly, a little bit more about who CTM is. And CTM is a global travel management company that specializes actually in government work, state and defense. And so we are number 4 in the world and are proud of our 9 billion in sales. It's a obviously a large scale TMC, which brings a lot of value to you, highly personalized service delivered through very competitive and compelling technology. So that's kind of our mantra. And we're proud that we have been a NASPO provider for, actually we're in a second term, a second agreement term with NASPO. So we're really proud of that. And again, have a tremendous amount of business like that you conduct in the state around the world, not just in North America, but around the world. So one of the things to note about CTM is we're very financially stable. We're publicly traded on the Australian Stock Exchange, so all of our information is public. But what that means is that, you know, things like data security and your anything to do with you know, PI compliance, all that, you can feel rest assured that we cross those T's and dot those I's. So so the next slide just really is going to kind of, I think, touch on a little bit more about CTM, and I believe was Carol or Lynn doing this one? I can't remember.
Carol,
Oh,
Carol and Lynn. So we can go past this one.
Yeah.
Went directly into what you were saying about CTM and go into the next ones where Lynn and would go in from there in terms of where we are with the portal and all the other information.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into the CTM portal, as Warren had kind of shared, right? It's kind of a one profile, it's one risk view, it's the data view, booking channel, and approval flow, and it can be customized based on what is needed. So it's a nice option that you've got something that you can customize and that it's usable for anyone that wants to use it. Going to the next is into Lightning. So again, kind of the same idea. It's the one content factory. It's a one mobile and desktop user experience. So they've got that option of using the mobile or the desktop, and they can get to either one, whatever their preference is. And then the approval setup is kind of included in that as well. And then going into the CTM Data Hub, which Warren also touched on, as far as it's really nice. You've got complete visibility to everything. It's a big thing because you can influence travel policy based on how you have things set up. And you can pull reporting based on what you need versus getting reports kind of sent to you that aren't really valuable. So it's a nice option for that. The next thing I wanted to touch on was leveraging your contract. So this is the site that kind of connects NASPO with CTM, and it's a Value Point Travel Center. So it's really designed for the questions, or if you're not really sure where to go, we've got a nice setup. So I'm going to actually split my screen here and see if I can find, I'll pull this up over top. Let me know that you can still see this.
Yes.
So this is the Value Point site. And what it does is it allows you to go in if there's a hotel program, if you need to book online, if you need to contact, you've got resources. But the thing I want to highlight here is contacting CTM. So you've got the ability to put in your information. And if you're just really not sure what you need, we've got some options here. I'm a traveler, I want to make a booking. I need state procurement agency. I want more information to get set up. And what this does is kind of in the background, then it sends it to the correct team. So if you're just needing a password reset, it's going to send it to our team that helps with password resets. If we need to get something set up, it's going to send it to me directly. If we need something new, it's going to send it to Luther directly. So it's a nice option that it's set up behind the scenes, that it's getting to the right place versus sending it out and it gets passed on 4 times before it gets to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice way to connect with everyone and make sure that we've got what you need to get back from us.
Perfect, Lynn. Can you go back to the presentation and go back to the slide right before leveraging the contract so Carol can touch upon?
Right, and while Lynn is doing that, I just want to add in
Yep.
a couple things on, you know, why CTM, what utilize. We've done all the hard work. I mean, all the work has been done as far as the contracting, the negotiations. We've got the implementations down to a science. They're very quick. They're very seamless. So, all that is on your end is signing, you know, is the PA. So I just wanted to touch on that because like I said, all of that, all that hard work has already been done, and we're ready for you. And if you go back to just a few slides Lynn, three, I just wanted to touch on this because I think it's really important. What's in it for you? As far as using us as your CTM.
That one.
And,
that one.
you know, we've got, first off, you know, as Warren was walking through all the demo, you know, knowing where your people are is super important from a security standpoint. But we also have a lot of pre-negotiated rates for you. We've got Lynn as our dedicated account manager on NASPO. We actually have a dedicated agent team. So when you're needing, when you book on Lightning, or if you need an agent, we've got a team of people that are dedicated to you guys. And then of course our after hours service. I know one of the questions was, you know, what if there's an emergency, what have you? We hit on, you know, evacuation, but you know, if there's an emergency and you need to talk to someone to help you get rescheduled, or your travelers need to do, we've got an after hours service. There are people, they're here in the US, and they're all CTM employees. So I just wanted to just touch a little bit on that of what we have that we're offering to you guys in this
Yep.
Expo deal.
And all US based.
Mhm. Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a
so I
key
think that's an
component.
important thing to point out now. There's a lot of travel agencies offshoring things, so your team, it would be all of us and all of your resources would be US based.
Nope. So just thanks, Luther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Carol, to that point on, you know, too, about CTM, one of the things that we really specialize in is also just good to know. Several of you states are around the borders and dealing with, or maybe not even around the borders, but dealing with the asylum seekers. And, you know, that's a specialty for us, is working with any kind of emergency services. We actually have a number of insurance companies too as clients because of that. So just I want to kind of plant that seed for you, that if that's any of that's going on in your particular state or procurement area, we'd love to visit with you about our experience with that and accommodating lodging and transportation services.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen. Thank you, team. And secondly, thank you, NASPO. We really appreciate the time and appreciate everything you did. Now, we have a few minutes here for some questions. So if you can talk a little bit of questions, I'll ping them up. Here's a question that we have. Came from Kristen Allen. It says, can your system be integrated with ERPs such as PeopleSoft?
Hi, Kristen. Yes, good question. Yes, we do that today. I mean, it would depend on the version of PeopleSoft. We know there's some older versions out there, but we do integrate with multiple ERP systems today: SAP, PeopleSoft, Workday, to name a few. So, just depending upon which version or where you are with PeopleSoft, that's actually what we prefer from a data feed perspective.
Perfect. Any other questions there?
Surely there's more.
All right.
Don't be shy. Yeah.
We're here to support.
That's right.
This relationship with NASPO, we want to make sure we're maximizing the opportunity to provide you with, you know, the travel management services and things that you need. And as Mary Ellen said, even though we're number 4, we still have the ability to be customized specifically for you. So we're not a one size fits all for the states, right? So each state is different. Each state's needs are different, and we can cater specifically to those needs for each state. So, you know, I welcome the opportunity to speak with you if you have additional questions separately, or if you need any expertise in terms of some things that you have going on. As Carol had said, the implementation process, we've pretty much got that down to a science now, with working with various different states and things that we have. The contract has been negotiated for the most part. It's just a participation agreement that we put in place, and then we're up and running. And you're going to be working specifically with me and Lynn, who are the linchpins here for CTM when it comes to NASPO. So, you know, you're going to have main points of contact and people that you can rely on and depend upon to get you the things that you need. And that's what CTM is all about. So Tanya and Joel, do you want to add anything? It seems like we don't have any questions right now, but is there anything that you'd like to add as well?
I don't have anything, Luther.
I don't have anything, Luther. I think the CTM team did a great job covering all of what you needed to. Awesome job.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank
And we
you.
really
Thank you.
appreciate the opportunity to do this. So I know Luther's going to make his contact details accessible and in the link to that the Value Point site for CTM. So
Yes, we'll make sure that's
look forward
accessible.
to-
But just to make sure, are you sure there's no more questions out there? I'm sure some people got a few things to
We
add.
still have some time.
We got plenty of time. And if we needed to stay later, I could stay. I'll let Mariana know, and I'll stay on and support whatever we need. But I think it's important if you have some questions and things that we have the right people and the experts here that can help and align to get you the answers and things that you need.
Everyone's like they have 5 minutes before the next call so they can go get water.
We got a question.
We have a question that came in.
If
Good
you
job.
already work with CTM, is there a reason to use the NASPO contract?
Luther, you wanna? Yeah.
That is a great question. Yes, because well, again, it depends upon what your needs are. If the NASPO contract is set up for a competitive rate perspective and an easy way to set up your agency's operations within your team. If you're already set up under CTM and already have specific needs and things that you have being addressed, I wouldn't want to inhibit you from doing something different, right? We want to make sure that if you're utilizing the NASPO products and services, it's based on, a need and things that you have and not impede upon something that you already have in place with CTM.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think Kaliska did a nice job of answering that. There's the Value Point, obviously, contract is encompassing of several things. So Kaliska pointed those out. We're happy to speak with you more, Joshua. And then Kristen, we've got another question in there. Luther, you want to?
Yeah, can you talk a bit more about the ticketing system with the airlines? Are you using the GDS inventory?
Good question. Warren, do you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, we are using GDS inventory, which is the primary source. As you may know, Sabre is the GDS that we use, and there's also NDC content that I mentioned earlier that's available in the GDS as well. So regardless of how the reservation's booked, the agents, if it happened to be an offline reservation, they would have access to the same content that you would as if you were booking through Lightning or Concur, one of the other agnostic tools that we support. So we absolutely use Sabre. And Lynn, I don't know if there's anything from an operations perspective that you want to add on from that. But
No, and I guess the best thing to add is that it's automatically checking if there's any kind of contracts or anything too. So it does take that into effect as far as if we have any contracts with the airlines, that it's automatically going to price out for us. But it is all loaded into the GDS.
And Kristen, if you have separate contracts as well, we can actually load those in as well. So you'll be able to take advantage of existing contracts that you have, as well as competitive rates that CTM has to offer. And you would get the best of both worlds based on what, the expense is for you. So we have the ability to do that for you. So yeah, so Josh, I will toot our horn. It does make sense to utilize NASPO, because once you sign up with NASPO, as Kaliska had added, it's pricing and duty of care, but it's also easy to implement other organizations or other agencies within your state, right? So that heavy lifting has already been done. So there's no heavy lifting in recontracting. We get the PA in place. We work specifically with you to make sure that everyone's taking the NASPO contract, getting all of the benefits that list for the NASPO team.
One thing good to know is since you were asking about content, some of you might have heard about there's content out there that's only directly available through the airlines, like NDC. It's called NDC, and so Lightning is we have NDC content available through Lightning. So we again, we're multi-channel. We do use the GDS, but we are multi-channel and have content that's available through direct connections and NDC content in Lightning. Whereas there's other booking tools out there that aren't there yet.
Oh, what happened there?
Oh, no, mine turned off too.
It just turned off and popped back
Yeah.
on. Did that happen? to you?
We are still recording and we still have some time. If members, if you have a last minute questions, please put them in the chat.
I'm monitoring the chat. Luther's got that chat.
And just to follow up, we do look forward to hearing from y'all as far as if you've got any follow-up questions after the call as well. Luther and I can definitely take that information and we can run with it. Joshua, we'd love to know a little bit more of where you're coming from, and we can definitely get something in started up for you. So we're excited for that.
Okay, Tanya, I think we're good. I think, everyone, had some good time, but again, on the CTM side, thank you so much. With our team here, I think you can see the importance of NASPO is to CTM and the partnership that we have with you in terms of, the executives and everyone that we have here on our team to be a part of this call and a part of, making sure that we're able to provide you with everything that you need. I will be the main point of contact. If you need anything from a sales perspective, Lynn is my counterpart. Her and I will be working together with you. So we will be in touch. I will definitely reach out to, everyone, and we can handle anything that you need. And let's just work together to customize whatever solution is that you need and, move things forward with this great partnership that we have with NASPO.
That's awesome. Luther, we have one more question in the chat from Kristen Allen.
Do you provide newsletters and notifications regarding travel recommendations and tips?
Absolutely. We actually have some great communication. In fact, we have regular communications, any changes in the industry, anything that might be happening in the world, like for CrowdStrike a few weeks ago, we had communications going out on a regular basis, constantly updating our customers of where we were at, what was happening with the airlines and so forth. So we have ongoing and then as needed communications for sure.
Perfect. Thank you. You're welcome, Kristen. Thank you for the question.
Well, thank you, CTM team. I do appreciate it. Kaliska, King, thank you. And Joel, our CPM under this contract. Again, this is recorded. So if you do want a copy, we'll be more than happy to provide that for you.